People, we are Tottenham TV back here for an international roundup as we edge a bit closer towards the end of international break and the last one up until March. So very much looking forward to the end of this one. And obviously a host of Spurs players have been playing for their respective countries. So let's go and see how they've been doing so far. Starting off with Son HeungMin and South Korea. They play a second game tomorrow against Palestine, but they did play against Kuwait, winning 3-1. Sonny played 63 minutes in the game, scoring a goal from the penalty spot and earning his 50th goal for his country, which puts him in, well, I think he was already, but second in the all-time goal-scoring charts for South Korea, which is unbelievable. If we go and look at the stats brought to you by SofaScore, link is in the description, and also the QR code is on screen for you to download the app. You can see his heat map there. 1 goal scored, 44 touches, 0 accurate crosses. I mean, not much in there from Sonny, but, you know, he had a fairly threatening game because he won the penalty and scored the penalty as well, but it wasn't his best game by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and also it's important to know that the game was 2-0 and then Kuwait get a goal back and pretty soon after they got a goal back, he got taken off. So clearly there's a emphasis on protecting Son at the moment, because I think usually in those kind of situations, I think they would have kept Son on to try and get a third goal and kill the game, but they didn't think that way. They took him off, kept him fresh for the next game, and also they did get the third goal anyway. But the manager has made it pretty clear that they're being very careful with Sonny and they want to protect him, and I think the action said that. They did take him off on the hour mark, so hopefully moving forward they do treat him in the same manner.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Sonny, and obviously on the Korean channel we will be doing a watch along tomorrow for their final game of the international break. Next up, we're going to talk about Pape Mbappe, who has been fairly well rested so far. He's played in a 1-0 win over Burkina Faso, but literally just came on for the last few minutes. Senegal are already qualified for the AFCON, and they do play Burundi on Tuesday, which is more or less a nothing game because Senegal are qualified. So hopefully he gets even more rest in this one.
100%. It's good news for us. Maybe they're keeping their best players on ice for the time being and want to see other players. I don't know. I mean, we know he doesn't start every game, but recently he has. And I remember last international break, he had 2 really good performances. So looks like when it comes to Pape Mbappe, they are just being very careful with him as well and not wanting to overplay him, and that's just good news for Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely. With them already qualified, it makes sense to try and want to give some other players a go as well. Let's talk about England now. Dominic Solanke, our only player that got called up for England. In the first game, he was an unused sub in a 3-0 win over Greece out in Athens. And last night, he played in the 5-0 rout of the Irish and came on for the final 16 minutes. England have now finished top of their Nations League group and are qualified back into the League A.
Fantastic stuff. We all love
exciting, aren't you?
We all love the Nations League. Maybe you'd feel like Solanke might deserve a few more minutes, and he's had this international break, considering he's been quite good for Tottenham. Obviously didn't get the start in the first game, didn't come on at all, did he, in the first game?
No.
So that's a shame for him. Obviously being called up after getting this big move to Spurs, he will probably want more game time, but we know how hard he works for Tottenham. He's always leading our press, so the fact that he's kind of only had a few minutes is going to benefit us, and hopefully he doesn't get burnt out. We know he's a very fit player, and clearly he's been playing a lot for Tottenham this season, even a few midweek games as well. So he's been under a lot of pressure, especially with Richarlison's injury, and he's been able to cope with it. So I'm sure even if he did play for England, it wouldn't have affected him too much. But I guess the less he plays, better for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at the Italians next. Destiny Udogie and Vicario. First game, Italy beat Belgium by 1-0. Vicario was an unused sub. Udogie came on for the final 25 minutes. In the second game, France beat Italy by 3-1, where Vicario actually started the game, and Destiny Udogie came on for the final 5 minutes of the game. A lot has actually been made out of Vicario's start in this one against Italy, because if you judge by the stats, it's 2 goals conceded by a set piece and also an own goal, which was from a direct free kick from Vicario. But I'm looking at all 3 of them, and I think he's coming under a lot more heat than he probably deserves for it.
I mean, first of all, the own goal is just one of those where the free kick gets struck off the post, it hits his back and goes in. It's just one of those you can't really do much about. It's a good free kick from Digne. He got across, unfortunately. He just got a bit unlucky. It happens in football. The 2 goals on paper, yeah, they're from corners. I would say the first one, maybe there's more of a case because it is quite deep, but also there's a lot of players in between him and the goal scorer Rabiot. Not sure what he can do about it, to be honest. I don't know if it's too deep where you have to say he has to come for it. The second one I've seen, I don't think he can do much about. It's a good header. It's quite far out as well from Rabiot, so I don't think it's one of those where you expect Vicario to come from that situation. So maybe you can say he could have done better with the header, but it is a good header. It is right in the corner. So as much as it doesn't look great, again, he's conceding from set pieces, following on from the Villa game, of the Arsenal game, and from Ipswich, we conceded a couple of chances from set pieces as well. So it's definitely not a good look, but I don't think on this occasion we can really blame him too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the 2 goals that they did concede from the set piece, with the two Rabiot goals. I mean, the defence have got to be doing a lot better, don't they? They just let him have 2 free headers, essentially.
Exactly. So I don't think you can blame Vicario, really. But again, just saying the perception doesn't help him.
Yeah. Let's look at Argentina now. Cuti Romero played 45 minutes in Paraguay's 2-1 win over Argentina. He did come off at half-time with an injury and has now travelled back to London to continue his recovery, which is obviously not good news with a recurring injury of his right foot. But maybe a few worrying signs in there from Argentina, actually, because they've only got 1 win in the last 4 games. And before that, I think they were on a crazy run of wins.
So I don't know. I haven't been watching their games, but I don't know. Are they qualified for the World Cup already? I think weren't they doing quite well top?
They are top of the group. I don't think they're qualified just yet. But I mean, I don't think their qualification is in doubt. But just a few kind of form issues.
Well, after Scaloni won 2 Coppers and a World Cup, I think, a lot of the times with international teams, once they've won it all like that, their standards start to slip. It's hard to keep up the motivation. They might need a new voice in there. I don't know. It's only 4 games. I don't want to rush a judgment, and they're still top, so it's not exactly like they're struggling. But in terms of Romero, obviously was rushed back for the Ipswich game. I think that's clear after he went off early in the game against Villa. And didn't look himself against Ipswich, I think it's fair to say. He was struggling with a few facets, especially with the ball at his feet. Didn't seem comfortable. And then now has been forced off at half-time again. So it's a worrying trend to Romero. I really hope maybe it's just a case of even if we rush him back for the City game, is it a case of should we just allow him to get fully fit before bringing him back again? Because he's been forced off early now for a few games in the recent weeks.
3 out of his last 4 games, I think.
Yeah, so that can't continue, obviously. And the game he wasn't forced off early was Ipswich, where he didn't look himself. So I think maybe he just needs a reset. I think the temptation will be bring back Tops away, try and get him fit. He's been one of those players, hasn't he, Romero, where he picks up an injury, but it never seems to keep him out for too long. He seems to be a guy who always wanted to get back on the pitch as soon as possible and willing to put his body on the line for the team. But sometimes it can work against him where he's clearly coming back not fully fit and he's not coming back 100%. And maybe we just need to tell him, even though he might make the case, look, I could be fit for this game. Maybe we just need to tell him, look, I think you need a couple of weeks just to get ready. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he will be fully fit for the City game. But from what I've seen, I don't want him rushing back again.
Yeah. I don't think he would have left the Argentinian camp, if there wasn't, a real issue there. And look, let's hope he gets back sooner rather than later, but I'm very much doubtful that he'll play the Man City game. But we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we're going to go to Marley as Yves Bissouma captained his side and grabbed an assist as well for the winning goal in a 1-0 win over Mozambique. Marley have now qualified for the AFCON. They play Eswatini in the final game on Tuesday, which is essentially a game that means not much. But Bissouma played in the number 10, grabbed himself a yellow card and an assist in true Bissouma style. But he's been grabbing those goal contributions this season for both club and country.
Is that 5?
Yeah, something like that.
2 for Spurs, 2 for
I think
Marley.
It's 3 for Marley.
3 for Marley and two goals. 2 goals for Spurs, 2 for Marley and 1 assist.
Yeah, so 5 goal contributions.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Really
I mean,
good.
that's something that...
He's playing in the number 10 for Marley, though.
True, but not for Spurs, and he seems to be getting a few goals. I don't know whether that's just coincidence or something he's been working on, getting into the final third on occasion, picking his moments. The couple of goals he did score for Marley were decent in the couple, I think it was a couple international breaks to go now, and I haven't seen the assist, to be honest, but it's good that when he makes that difference in the final third when possible, so it means for Tottenham, if he does find those opportunities, maybe he'll more likely make a difference than maybe when in the last 2 years where he just seems very uncomfortable when he gets in those positions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the lineups between the two teams. I mean, Bissouma's pretty much the only player I've heard of out of the two teams. So, I mean, he is probably a quality above the rest kind of thing when playing more or less majority of these qualifying games. But you got to give big up to Yves Bissouma for adding those contributions to his game this season. Back to Europe, we're going to go to Romania as they drew 0-0 with Kosovo. Radu played 90 minutes in the game. However, the match was erupted into chaos. I don't know if you heard about this game.
Which game?
The Romania-Kosovo game.
Hear.
So it got to 90-minute stage, and then during injury time, there were some taunts and some chants from the Romanian fans to the Kosovan players along the lines of, in the subject of Serbia. And then there was a big brawl on the pitch. The referee, and then the Kosovo players actually walked off the pitch in stoppage time. And then
I did see something about
the
this.
game was completely suspended, and then it was counted as an unfinished game.
I see. So did anyone get the points, or
I don't think
did
so.
anyone not?
No.
What was the score? Nil. What did you
It was
say?
0-0 in stoppage time, and they've just completely called off.
So it's as if the game didn't happen.
Pretty much. I
Okay.
don't know how they're gonna.
Does Radu keep a clean sheet, or
Well, I don't think so. I don't think it's counted as a clean sheet.
we're going to keep him? We're going to give him a clean sheet. Go on, Radu. Obviously, you don't like to see that or hear that, especially with derogatory chants from the fans. But good on Radu for having another good international break. Let's hope he can take that confidence into Spurs, because at the moment for Tottenham, when he's getting on the pitch, or last couple of games I should say anyway, definitely look nervous, and hopefully being the main defender, having that leadership ability he has for Romania, he can take that into Tottenham, because at the moment he just seems to be crumbling a bit for Spurs.
Yeah, well, Radu Plus play tonight, Monday night, against Cyprus, which should have been the last game in the group phase, but I don't know what's going to happen with the game against Kosovo. But Romania do remain top of League C, which means they're going to get a promotion more than likely to Group B. To League B. Pedro Porro up next. He played in Spain's 2-1 win over Denmark, earning more rave reviews, Pedro Porro, for Spain, 90 minutes. And he's really solidifying that right-back spot for Spain. They play Switzerland tonight, and Spain already having qualified for the quarterfinals of the Nations League.
Some say almost playing too well. Maybe he's attracting too much attention from Madrid with these performances. But no, good on him. I'm glad he's playing well at the moment, as he's come under a bit of criticism in recent weeks for Tottenham. So it's good for him to find a bit of form and show a bit of form for Spain. And he seems to be really, as you say, nailing that place at the moment. The last few performances have been very impressive, and looks like he's following suit.
Yeah. If we go and have a look at his individual game stats, SofaScore gave him a 7.8 rating, 4 clearances, 2 interceptions, 5 tackles, 2 key passes on the day as well. 8 out of his 10 long balls were accurate, 1 big chance created, 5 out of 9 ground duels won as well. So really top dominating display from
against
Pedro
a good
Porro.
team.
Yeah, against a very good side in Denmark. So and away from home as well. So
I think, look, if you look at his last few appearances, so that was the 7.8. His last one against Serbia, 8.8, and then the one before that against Denmark, a 7.6. That's like really impressive. I know it's only SofaScore, but usually you don't get such a
SofaScore. It's only the best app in the,
it's a pretty
on the
app.
App Store.
What I'm saying is, like, obviously it's not gospel, but what I'm saying is it's hard to get such consistently high numbers like that if you're not playing well. So he's clearly doing something right for Spain.
Yeah, don't listen to him. Go and download SofaScore right now. The link is in the description and QR code on screen. Let's go and look at Rodrigo Bentancur, who made his return to international action this week. 3-2 win over Colombia in a pulsating game, actually. Bentancur played 90 minutes in a dramatic win because Colombia got the equaliser on like the 95th minute or something, and then Uruguay got the winner. I think Ugarte scored on the 97th or 98th minute, which actually leapfrogged Uruguay over Colombia in the group.
So has he served his ban for Uruguay then? I'm guessing must have served it, or has he not served it yet? Maybe
No,
he's
because he was
upcoming.
banned last international.
He was
break.
banned, was he? So it was 4 games he was banned for. So maybe the last 2 international breaks he's been banned for, and that's it. 4 games.
I think he was serving a ban when he was injured or something as well.
Potentially. Well, yeah, glad that he's being part of a good Uruguay team. I know he's was out the team for a bit because when wasn't getting back to his best, but I just remember his performances at the World Cup, how good he was for them just before he got injured for Spurs. And he was really, I think Bielsa said, this guy is one of the few midfielders I've coached who's as good, in the number 6 as he is as a number 8, and he can really do both roles to a really high standard. And we've been seeing signs of him getting back to those levels. Such a shame now he's got a ban coming up, but sounds like he had a good performance this one. And it's a shame he's not going to bring it into Tottenham unless it's in Europe because of his ban, but I'm glad that he's playing well.
Roma got to watch out next week.
That's for sure.
69 touches, 90 minutes played. 4 out of his 5 long balls were accurate. 2 out of his 3 dribble attempts were successful. 7 out of 11 ground duels won as well. And 4 tackles and 1 clearance on the day as well. So a good performance in the heart of midfield for Rodrigo Bentancur. And it don't get much easier for him as he goes to play away at Brazil on Wednesday morning. So
big game for Brazil. Brazil's
massive
struggling.
game. Actually, let's go and have a look at the group because it's actually quite interesting. If you look at the standings there, so you see Uruguay leapfrog Colombia. They're on the same points, but they're ahead on goal difference. Brazil are on 17 points. So if they lose that to Uruguay, there's quite a gap appearing, but you still don't think that they'll miss out on qualification because the top 6, top 7 qualify.
What's Bolivia on 12?
Bolivia are on 12, in 8th place.
So you have to finish Bolivia.
If you finish 7th, you're going to playoff.
Okay. Who's at Ecuador?
Venezuela on 12.
Also
Paraguay
12.
on 16. Ecuador
So Brazil
16.
are now 5 points clear of that. So they should be okay now.
But still a lot of football.
Quite a few games. So he needs to get those wins on the board, and Uruguay's not an easy place to go.
Yeah, not at the moment under Bielsa anyway. Let's look at Wales now as Davis and Johnson were both in action. Turkey drew 0-0 with Wales out in Turkey, which is a fairly good result for Wales, actually. Davis captained the side and played 90 minutes. Brennan Johnson got taken off in stoppage time as well, completing 90 minutes. And that sets up for a pivotal clash tomorrow night, Wales against Iceland. And pretty much whoever wins that gets promoted to the Nations League B, I believe.
Massive. I heard Brennan didn't have a great game. I didn't watch it, but that's what I've read. People complaining about his performance, which is a shame. But obviously Ben Davies always a strong performer for Davis. So yeah, it's a great result. It was a strong performance for Wales. But away to Turkey, very difficult place to go, very tough game. And Wales, would have been massive underdogs going into that and did well to get a point. So fair play to Ben Davies.
Yeah, so if you bring up the table of the Welsh Nations League, just shows you what a big game it is for Wales because they're sitting in 2nd on 9 points. Iceland are 3rd on 7 points. And pretty much, if Wales can win it, there's an outside chance of them finishing above Turkey if they lose to Montenegro, but Montenegro got 0 points so far, so highly unlikely. So more than likely the winner goes into a promotion playoff to get promoted to Nations League A, which Wales would love to be in that Nations League A and test themselves against some really good sides.
Sure they would.
And in terms of individual stats, I don't think there's much to read into it. Brennan Johnson got booked. Really not much in there from Brennan Johnson's stats. I mean, his stats was 5 clearances on the day. And Ben Davies obviously captained the side at left centre-back. 3 block shots, 1 interception, 4 tackles, 6 out of his 7 ground duels won as well. So it looks like a fairly strong display from Ben Davies. 2 out of his 2 dribble attempts successful as well from Ben Davies. So that's Ben Davies. And last but not least, we're going to go to Sweden as Bergvall and Kulusevski were both called up to the squad. Sweden beat Slovakia by 2-1. Deki captained the side once again and had another strong performance at the heart of the midfield for Sweden. No goal contributions for Deki, but Bergvall was an unused sub. Sweden do play Azerbaijan Tuesday night, and they're on course to get promoted to the late Nations League B. But yeah, more rave reviews for Deki.
Yeah, apparently another show-stopping performance from him behind Gyökeres and Isaac in the front line, but apparently he was the best player on the pitch, they said. That's what I read. And, they couldn't get the ball off him. Was such a willing runner as well, as he always is, such a hard worker, and apparently he just an all-action display from him.
Yeah, look at this heat map from Deki. Just shows you what areas he was taking up on the pitch, literally everywhere. Look at this. Literally everywhere, Deki.
Right winger, left attacking midfielder, forward, up front.
Yeah.
Lovely. Right wing back at points.
2 shots on target, 2 off target, 4 out of 9 dribble attempts successful, 2 key passes, 1 successful cross, 1 successful long ball. He attempted 25 ground duels.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
9 were successful.
I've noticed that as a trend with Deki. Whenever I look at his duels, if you look at his duels, every game is like a really high number, but successful wise, his percentage is not great. But when you forget percentage, when you're putting in that amount of duels for a player like Deki, who's an attacking player, that's an incredible thing. But it's always like near 20.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Drew 2 fouls as well, made 2 fouls, and he made 3 tackles on the day as well. So big up for Deki for carrying that brilliant form for Spurs into the international stage. And we'll see how he gets on against Azerbaijan. I'm sure he gets a goal contribution tomorrow night for the last game for their Nations League group. But that is the international roundup. Let me know your thoughts on all our particular players. We'll bring you another one probably in a form of a Tottenham update because there's not many games left to play. But thank you, everyone. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, Spurs.